honestly just want to get with my friends and talk about them, their stories, their lives, their challenges, and how they overcame them. I just want to get to know them on a deeper level, and of course, we're going to laugh. I mean, that's what we do. But I want them to feel that someone listened. And that's it. This is the Barr+Friends podcast, where it's my space, your story, 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 your story.
I am your host, Christian Barr, and you are tuned in into the Barr+Friends podcast. Today on Barr+Friends, we have a psychology graduate, a professional voiceover talent, and an incurable optimist, which I can attest to. This woman is so bubbly, so hype, so full of energy, and I love it. She also produces the Mental Health Podcast, a survivor's guide to hell. PJ, welcome to the Barr+Friends podcast. How are you today?
You. I'm doing fantastic. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. I am so glad that you were able to hop on and join me for a quick convo. I actually do have a question for you just to kick things off. What got you into the voiceover field? Like, did your friends encourage you to go on this route? Like, kind of just give us the cliff notes of that.
Okay, the clip notes. Actually, the podcast came before the voiceover thing. So
Okay.
I guess it was kind of like what you said. People listen to the podcast and they said, "Hey, you have a great voice, so you should try and get into voiceover." It turns out that's a horrible reason to get into voiceover, but it's working out for me. I got a voice coach and I've done a national commercial, I've done some local things, some audiobooks, and of course the podcast. So yeah,
Well, that's what's up. That's cool. That's cool. No, I
it's
love it.
pretty
I
cool.
love it.
Thank you.
Now, as I mentioned in the quick intro that I said about you, that you are just in, you are even when we were, off air, you are such a woman of positivity and optimism. So I just wanted to know, where did that come from? Like, was it in you since childhood, or was that something that you had to grow or evolve into?
Well, first of all, thank you because that's an extremely kind thing to say. I appreciate hearing that. Um, I'm not sure exactly where it comes from. And I think a lot of it just might be how I portray myself because it might seem better on the outside than it does on the inside, if we're being honest with ourselves. But I think anyone who's been on this earth more than 5 years knows that bad things are going to keep coming and good things too. But you have to constantly make the decision that you're not going to let it make you a bitter person or a victim or like a permanent victim. So I guess that's what I'm trying to do is continue to choose the path that is not cynical, the path that is positive. So that sums it up, I guess.
I love that. No, that's so cool. No, I'm the same way, PJ. Actually, people that I talk to or meet on a daily basis, they're like, "Yo, Christian, like, what's up with you? Why are you so happy? And why are you so full of joy all the time?" Honestly, I mean, yes, a day where you're not, dead is a good day. But for me, I don't know, like I'm just so grateful. Like I have my health, I have my strength. I can be able to, be on the pod with you. Like there are just so many things to be grateful and to be thankful for. And, I just choose to focus on the positive, you know, and that outweighs,
Yeah,
the negative.
I love that. I saw a quote recently. I'm gonna butcher it. I don't know who said it, but it went something along the lines of, when you don't feel entitled to anything, all the good stuff in your life is just a bonus, you know? Like, I might not deserve any of this, so the fact that it's here is fantastic. Like, lucky me, right?
Right? No, no, for sure, for sure. And so,
Yeah.
I just choose just to focus on the positive. And so, that is what, led me to have inner peace and to be able to have joy and to be able to encourage others because I just feel like I'm on this earth, to make an impact and to, share my love and my peace and my joy with others. And so, yeah.
Well, that's probably why, I mean, you mentioned before that a lot of people love to talk to you, love to share their stories with you. It's probably because of your vibes, makes them feel comfortable and happy.
No, for sure, for sure. Um, on this podcast, PJ, I asked my guests, to talk about their beginnings, to talk about their childhood and what led them up to where they are at today. And so I call this segment of my podcast the Genesis. And the Genesis is, pretty much refers to the beginning. And so I just want to know, and I'm sure that my followers want to know as well, like, what was the life of PJ growing up all the way till now?
Thank you for asking. I don't know if I've ever been asked that before. Well,
Yes.
I think I've had a blessed childhood. I had two parents that were married the entire time I was growing up, and we grew up in a religious household, which had mostly pros, pretty wholesome. Um, and I actually grew up a Mormon, so I even went and served a mission. So, there's always those Mormon missionaries in the memes and in movies, the little black name tags
Right.
knocking on doors and annoying people. That was me. So, I got home, I got married, and I guess what what's the word? The catalyst for me to start the mental health podcast was that things started going really, really badly. Um, so my husband lost his job during COVID, and he also started to get stroke symptoms, even though he's really young, like crazy young to have a stroke. And we were spending thousands of dollars trying to figure out what was wrong with his health. We didn't have a job. There are all kinds of things going on. And it was just a really uncertain time. And at the same time, I was having, I guess you call it, a crisis of faith with the religion of my childhood. There were lots of historical facts about the religion that I was not aware of, that I was becoming aware of, and that were really unsettling. So I started to leave that faith at the same time everything else was going on. And it was just a lot to handle. It was a lot. So I needed to do some research for myself to find out how to maintain more mental balance and not lose my head. And I would call that the genesis of the podcast, is relearning all of this new information that I obtained getting my psychology degree and actually putting it into practice instead of just reading it out of a textbook.
Right.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay, okay. My bad, my bad.
Oh no, that's
Okay,
okay.
cool, cool. Okay, so wow. So when your husband lost his job and you were in the middle of the pandemic and all that stuff like that,
Hmm.
tell me what was your mental state? Like, were there times where you just wanted to be like, you know what, Christian, I just want just to give up and be done with it? Like, yeah.
Um, it got really bad, and to be honest with you, there were a lot more events going on that I would like to talk about, but it would give away other people's privacy. And those are unfortunately the juiciest details, and that's what was affecting my mental health the
Oh,
most.
Yeah.
So all of
Dang.
that drama with the health and the joblessness, and it felt like I would describe it as chaos. Like my head was full of wasps and it was hard to think straight. It was almost impossible to sleep. Um, it was miserable. So I'd spend a lot of nights, at 4 a.m. just sitting in my office, laying on my couch, trying to think of some way to cope. And I found this really amazing quote from Jordan Peterson. I don't know if your listeners are familiar with him, but it was something to
I
the
love Jordan
effect of,
Peterson.
"You love Jordan Peterson? He's a
Love him.
controversial
Love him.
figure, so I'm relieved to hear that. I love him too." But he said something to the effect of, it's not that life is easy. Life is miserably difficult, but you are tougher. And that hit it home. I was like, you're right. Life is miserably difficult right now, and there's no clear solution to any of this. But thank you for the reminder. I am tougher, and I'm gonna do something about this instead of just wallow. So, yeah.
That's amazing, PJ. So, with all the chaos and, of course, the juicy tea that I know that you really can't share right now.
Sorry about that.
No, no, all good, all good, all good. Oh, I understand. Um, what were some practices that you did to get out of the chaos, to get out of the funk? Now I know that you know doing life like we've both been doing. I know that there will be trials and tests, very often. So
Yes.
you're never really out of the battle of just
Yeah.
challenge and stuff like that. But what is your mindset now that you went through the chaos and now you're in a much better place? Like, what were some practices that maybe my listeners can maybe practice in their own lives of how did you get from chaos to calmness?
I would say the number one thing, which is so much easier said than done, is to prioritize the pursuit of meaning over the pursuit of happiness. Because in all of that
Ooh,
craziness, in all of that craziness where our family's security was in jeopardy, do I need to pause for a second?
say that again, because that was deep. I don't even know. I don't even think you even realize how deep that was. Say that again. Say it again.
I wish I was the first person to think of it. The pursuit of meaning, the pursuit of meaning should be prioritized over the pursuit of happiness. We'll let that sink in this time.
Yeah. Continue.
Okay. Uh, there's just, I think people make a mistake, and an honest mistake, when things are difficult, that they need to work harder to be happy. But sometimes the way life works, you're just not going to be. It's hard to be happy when you're worried your husband's going to die and you don't know why or when, you know? It's hard to be happy when you're not getting any sleep and when you don't know how to put food on the table. That's hard to be happy, but you can find meaning in any situation, no matter how difficult. Happiness is unpredictable, meaning is reliable, as long as you're looking for it. And I found my meaning by trying the mental health podcast. Like knowing that I was in a lot of pain and that I was not the only one. There were, plenty of people suffering from, the COVID climate, among other things. And I could remove some of that suffering by dispelling mental health techniques, not dispelling, but distributing mental health techniques into the world. And that's how I found meaning. And we got through it. And my husband's not dead. So it's
Oh,
also good.
that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, he's good. Like he's better. He's in good health, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we spent thousands of dollars doing every test we thought existed to try and figure out what was wrong. In the end, after we had given up trying to figure it out and we were just trying to live healthy lives so he'd be okay, he ends up going to an eye doctor for something unrelated. And the eye doctor was able to tell him exactly what was going on and that he was not having strokes. He wasn't going to die. It was just an eye problem. You'd think the ER would have thought of that, but they didn't. Anyway,
Right?
yeah.
Crazy. Wow. 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 Find the meaning of life. Man, that's so good, VJ. That's good because I'm in a place in my life right now where don't get it twisted. I like money. I like to have money, but
hmm
I'm I'm in a place where I want to be able to make more memories because I begin to realize that when we passed on from this life, when we die, your money's not going to count. It's going to be the memories that you have left with your husband, with your loved ones. That's really going to make the difference. And so, 'cause I just turned 39 a couple of weeks ago, and I think that in your 20s, in your early 30s, I mean, you're living life, but I just think that life is just happening to you, and you're just living in your life. And I I've been asking myself questions lately, like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave, when I do pass? And I just realized that I want to be able to be a man that leaves a lot of memories. I want to be a man that makes you feel good, that put a smile on your face, that, crack the joke. And so I think for me, that is my meaning of life, to be able to leave behind memories that other people can remember about me. You know what I mean? Well, listen, PJ, I am so happy that we were able to hop on and have you come on my podcast. I appreciate you. I will definitely link all of the things that you're doing, like your podcast. I'll link that in the description. I'll also, link your book too. So, yeah, but thank you so much for coming on, Barr and Friends. And I hope that we can be able to have you on again soon.